Hey guys, Ev's back to entertain, and it's another one of my collab videos with my brother. So you can introduce yourself. Why not?
Hello, it's me again, Keenan. Nice to meet you all again.
Yeah. So for once, we're not. I mean, it's a Survivor video, but it's not based on how exactly we feel about the season, a season itself, but more so about how we feel about. I mean, people say wokeness moments, but I mean, I for this video, me and Keenan are going to call them social justice moments, if you will.
Yes, definitely.
Because when we say wokeness, I mean it kind of like nothing against people who use like the term wokeness, but like it kind of gives the impression that we're like leaning like more conservatively or something. Like no, I mean I feel like that both of us are relatively like moderate when it comes to like political and social views. So for just here we're just going to use social justice moments. So here we go. So before we go on, so just kind of like transition to what we're talking about here. So basically, for the last couple of seasons of Survivor, there have been certain moments that just kind of like where the game itself is just like taken away, and like the cast is in the moment and is expressing their thoughts on certain issues in society. And I mean that by itself is fine. Survivor has always been a microcosm for society. How the thing is like the actual I was gonna say SJW moments. The actual SJW moments seem very forced and seem sometimes kind of inauthentic. So I mean we kind of want to talk about like each of those moments for past like was it 3 seasons now, or really 4 seasons because 42 is over. And kind of like dissect how we feel about each of these moments. Now, mind you, we don't have a negative opinion about like. I mean, our opinion isn't like overly negative about every single thing. So it's not like it's going to be like a whole bashing of these moments happening. But we kind of just wanted to talk about them because why not?
Right. It's important to like understand. Like we both know that we have the big reason why, but we want to explain like the negative aspects of having that reason, that thought.
Right, and I mean I think it'll be interesting for both of us too, because like I mean overall I'm not really like I'm not really like into politics or like social commentary like all that much anyway.
Right.
And like plus like I said, like I'm more moderate when it comes to like stuff like this. Like it's not like that anything woke is like anything like left leaning is an instant turn off or turn on. Same thing with right wing. So like yeah, I mean we're both like kind of in the middle when it comes to stuff like this. So I think that it's fair for us to talk about it. But anyway, so before we go on, I just want to kind of like introduce again that Survivor will always have like its moments of social social justice and people like trying to talk it out and like understand each other, because it's again like it's a microcosm of, I swear I won't say microcosm again, but it's the world. It's like people like from different walks of life in the jungle. So people won't understand. Like people from Iowa aren't going to understand like the struggles of a guy from Compton. Like you know what I mean. Like so it's people from different walks of life, and that's what the show has been
always been about.
Founded about. So I mean there have been like stuff like as far back as like Cook Islands or Fiji, where like you can tell that like trying to represent a race could like you can tell that it was probably in the back of their minds even back then. However we feel like that's more of a thing now because of the more diverse casting and also the new casting director. So we just want to talk about them. Anything else you want to add?
And the thing, yeah, like I said, I definitely agree with what you said. And the thing about, like you said, the microcosm, I think that's what they designed Survivor for, like early on. If you know about the first season, they intentionally, I think someone said in the interview that they put Rudy Bosch, the 70-year-old old white guy from the Navy, to be with Richard Hatch, a very open gay man from the Army. And some of the comments that Rudy says, like calling Rich some stuff I can't say online, it does not age well. But back in 2000s, it was very like you could see a gay man interacting with a 7-year-old white guy from the Navy SEAL. Right. And they actually I think they used to be really close friends. Rudy passed away like 3 years ago,
yeah.
And I know Rich talks about positive things about him. And I know, like, talk about Cook Islands and Fiji. The thing that made those seasons unique was it's crazy because like that was so much backlash about those seasons, like because it was like especially Cook Islands where it was like based on race, but it really wasn't like a big theme. Even though it was like a thing, but from the start, it only lasted like 2 episodes. Right after that, they had a tribe swap. So
I mean, in retrospect, I don't think it was the best idea for them to like have like race war as a theme of a season, but
yeah, it's funny.
But, it did. Sorry, it did. Cause like or not cause, but like it did make the first Survivor season with like a lot of diversity. So
Cook Islands is still the most diverse season in Survivor. Like,
is it?
Yeah, because it's only 4 white people, 4 black people, 4 Asian.
What about Fiji though?
Well, Fiji, I'm trying to think.
I mean, either way, like both those seasons are
they're the most diverse season. Yeah. Like, they can make all this message about 41, 42 being the most diverse seasons and the ones moving forward. But Cook Islands and Fiji are all the most diverse seasons. So, and like I said, if you notice from the last 2 seasons in Cook Islands and Fiji, the winners of those seasons, one of them had the most diverse season with the most different ethnic people are people of color.
Right. So. All right. So that segues to the start of this. So. As you know, season 39, or really it was, season 39, because the Edge of Extinction was with Lynn Spielman, I think. So season 39 was when they got a new casting director. I think it's like a couple directors now. But they try to aim for a slightly more diverse cast. I mean, they didn't have this whole person of color quota that they started like after 2020, but even they could tell like they were trying to shift to like a different direction that included that had that was more inclusive, and I commend them for that.
I do.
But that leads but that leads to the first thing, which was all the way in Isle of the Idols. So like we have 3 Isle of the Idols moments, 1 Where's the War moment, 3 moments from 41, and then 1 moment from 42. So let's just get on it. The first moment, first SJW moment was the do-rag moment in Isle of the Idols. I mean, can you want to start?
Oh yeah, so if you don't know, the background of it was, I believe, we watched Isle of the Idols last week, and Jack was a white guy and Jamal was a black man, and I think Jack said something, but hey Jamal, you should get your buff, but instead of saying buff, he mentioned it as do-rag, and Jamal got offended by that, because he felt like that was kind of like, what's the word? I'm trying to think, I can't think of the word right now. Subconscious bias?
I mean... I guess you can use that, yeah.
Yeah, he can use that, and he's saying, "Hey, are you open to talk about like race talk?" Because Jamal felt offended that if he thinks when somebody thinks of like a buff of a black man, he thinks of a do-rag, and Jack kind of felt bad. You could tell like he really didn't meant to offend Jamal. And one thing I respect about the ending of it was Jamal and Jack having a good talk about it, and Jack and Jamal are actually good friends back there. After the season, they actually became roommates. So you can definitely tell like Jack was definitely like he wasn't intended to like make Jamal look bad or make fun of Jamal by a do-rag.
Right. I agree, but here's how I see it. I do agree. Like I do agree with what you said, but the thing with that moment is that I think that what Jamal said was correct. I mean, I think that a lot of people see black men as like like instantly see as like a threat, like a certain thug, like in certain circumstances, and I think he does have a point. I mean, thing is like I feel like that it was like Jack didn't really mean anything that much by the joke. I think it was just like making just some backhand jokes. I mean, I'm glad that the moment didn't like last longer than it needed to be, but at the same time, like Jack was just making just making a little joke. I didn't think that it had to be taken to heart so bad. But I mean, like again, like I understand where Jamal was coming from, but I mean that's just how I feel.
And the buff's always a do-rag is also a buff. I mean that's they're both the same things. It's like tomato. A buff is also known as a do-rag.
Or at least you can wear a buff like a do-rag. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's people on Survivor who wear a buff as a do-rag. It's not like it's the first time you ever seen a guy wear a do-rag before.
Right. Yeah.
I felt bad for Jack because like Jamal called him out in front of the whole tribe.
Right.
And I kind of like I understand like you want to like point that out, but I wish you didn't call out the whole tribe about that because he made Jamal look like a villain. Not Jamal. Jack look like a villain. And which Jack kind of seemed like he didn't really meant to say that.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I do understand it. Like emotionally, he was just. I mean, he was kind of caught off guard. But yeah, I agree. So want to just move on to the next moment then?
Sure.
All right, cool. So next is the next episode. So it's the whole tribal council about like Kelly was like accusing Jamal being sexist for assuming it was like a woman's alliance. You want to start?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Let's talk about the backstory. Let's be real. Since the Black Widow Brigade in Survivor Micronesia and the success of that alliance, every player, especially male players, have feared a all women's alliance because there's a fear that all women all is lined together out of nowhere and just take all the men out one by one. And it's funny because that alliance, the Black Widow Brigade, actually the prototype of that was actually Yasser's all women alliance led by Amy and Vanuatu. But it totally failed because Chris Doherty is a beast. so that alliance failed. But then the Black Widow, I'm gonna call it the BWB because it's easier to say it. The BWB alliance just they cruised through Micronesia, Harvey went winning, and after that, male players just feel, hey, we gotta watch out for all women's alliance because women they work together and put all the males out one by one. And you really haven't seen alliance like all women's alliance like powerful since One World, with Kim's like Solani alliance with her, Chelsea, Sabrina, and Kat and Alicia. They dominate the most of the merge in the One World. So you haven't really seen that, but it's just still a fear that alliance that's going to happen one day. Like we almost had a chance with Kim Bodie with the whole Witches COVID alliance. It's just a fear that players have. And I don't think it was sexist to assume that because in Survivor it's been more shown that women are more likely to team up with each other to and win the game. Work together. Males don't really do that because males we're not very like what's the word? We're not social towards each other. We just like we're very competitive. Women are more likely to work together. It's like that in real life.
I mean, what gets me about the thing is like literally in that episode, Nora was trying to make a woman's alliance, but then all of a sudden, like Jamal's the bad guy for assuming that, or like for knowing that was about to be a thing. I mean, that's what gets me the most.
Kellen knew about Nora's one.
You said Kellen.
Sorry, it's Kelly. I'm sorry. I keep saying Kelly. Her name says Kellen. Like
wrong
that.
Season.
I know. So the Kelly, did she know Nora was planning to do all this?
I mean, I think she did. I mean, I don't know. I know Janet knew because, like, she said in the confessional that she wasn't really all for it. I mean, I don't know, but like either way, like it was a possibility in that situation. But like Jamal was like the bad guy for assuming that.
It's like I said, all male lines never works because you saw in 42. I know we're going like a little bit forward in seasons. In 42, Roxroy tried to do a all males alliance, but then people viewed it as like misogynistic. And it's kind of messed up. So I don't know. I mean, you make this stuff up.
I mean, like either like no matter if it's all women's or all males alliance. I mean, even like all black alliance. Like I mean, I'd rather Survivor players like be an alliance to further their game. I don't want them be an alliance like just to spread a message or something. Like what I mean, but.
Yeah, that's true. Because I know I keep bringing the Black Widow Brigade, but it wasn't like. Harvey just did a whole alliance. It's like, hey, we all go to team up, get all the men out. She had a good alliance with Amanda Suri from the start, and then like when she went to the tri-swap, she
pulled in
Alexis and Natalie. So it wasn't like she was still close to people like James and somebody else. Originally Ozzy for a little bit until she voted him out, but after she voted out Ozzy, she's like, okay, let's just have the women just lead the charge and take all the men out.
Right.
So,
and what I don't like about this situation is like it's somehow shift from them talking about women's alliance. I mean, that would be whatever on its own, but then like somehow like goes to like this whole talk about the Me Too movement. I'm like, that doesn't like correlate to women's alliance like at all. Like that's a whole separate beast. And then like I understand like women empowerment and all that, but like I just the whole I don't know, it just the whole like, and it really is Jeff's fault because like for whatever reason he swifted the vote a certain way, shifted the conversation in this way for whatever reason, but like the Me Too movement doesn't really correlate to the assumption of a woman's alliance.
I feel it was just to make CBS look like they care because Me Too movement affected definitely like television studios like CBS and ABC and NBC and Hollywood in general. So I guess CBS kind of like, hey, we care about Me Too. We care about the Me Too movement. We want to address that stuff. We want to like, talk about that's not okay. Because that was like I was aired in late 2019. That's when like the Me Too movement was like as high as peak.
I mean, just honestly, I mean, this entire, all these moments really, I just get like this pandering vibe from Jeff. I mean, like, you know, I'm pretty sure, you know, he's not bigoted or anything, but at the same time, it's just like a lot of this, he's just pandering or just trying so hard to be so like politically correct when it's just him, you know, just trying like, you know, it just seems disingenuous to me.
Yeah, I kind of miss Sassy Jeff, because Sassy Jeff is kind of like, he would like talk bad about you, he would make fun of you, he would call you out. I feel like since I want to say maybe the Fiji era, Jeff's been more toned down. He's been more like laid back and like more nice and caring. Like he used to call people out in challenges. Hey, you are horrible now. She is costing them the challenge. And now instead of like that, he's like, come on, you can do this. Don't give up. Don't give up. And it's like, it's fine, but I mean, we miss like when Jeff was like this. This like savage and like just call people out. He's just too nice now.
Right. All right. So that's that. I mean, this should be quick because I don't know anyone who really defends this one, but we have the Tribal Council of and by we're not talking about the Dan Spiello situation at all. Because,
no, definitely.
I mean, that's just like objectively a messy situation. Like it's not like two sides of anything. It's just like that's not so. I mean, that's social justice, but like only because you know like. There's clearly someone in the wrong, or a couple people in the wrong, and someone like you know who's a victim. Like that's not going to be in here because So next we have Misty, and this is gonna be quick. So we have Misty saying how two people won immunity.
Two black people.
Sorry, black people won immunity in the merge, and how like it should have been a big deal or whatever. So I'm just gonna cut straight to it. I think this is incredibly idiotic because I mean. Obviously, plenty of black people won immunity, and like you know, there's not a lot of times where two people win immunity to begin with. So I just don't like. I think it'd be stupid for it to be like a big deal. Like you know what I mean?
I guess she follows a big deal for herself because I guess she didn't view like a lot of like Survivor players, especially like people look like her, win immunity. So I mean, I do feel like it was kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, it was just stupid to me, but. I mean, I guess it's cathartic because she got voted out in that tribal council, but I just found it so forced and stupid. But CBS loves that, so I mean, heck if I know. All right, next is so that's all of Out of the Idols. So now we go to Winners at War Final 6 with Sarah's SJW speech. What do you think of that?
All right, so like I said, another background. It was during like the tribal council. Sarah mentioned how like she felt like. I'm not saying Jeff was sexist, but she made like talking about how like women are like kind of treated, like players are treated badly in the show, like where a woman's like seen as a strategist, like a backstabber, she's seen as like you know a B word. But when a male does, he's called a great player. And then she brought the fact that Jeff never like mentions like, hey, you have like all the male players got these last names like you say the last name Cochran or Mariano. Some other ones, Hatch, Hans, but you never mentioned like last names of like iconic female players. And the thing about that was that, ironically, is he said that for like Kelly Wentworth, who played in 2 seasons. And I know they said like, he said because it was another Kelly in Cambodia, but she did the same thing in Edge Extinction. So, want to get more on that?
I mean. I understand where Sarah's coming from, but the problem is, like, I mean, we both seen Eager Turtles video where they talk about he had like her whole speech and then like contradicting like with her talking about Cass being So I mean, and you could say like you know she's grown over time. It's like it's not like that she owns up to what she said in the past. Like it's just like it seems incredibly one-sided and. Again, I mean, just like there's plenty of other players that won the game and they played a certain way, like Parvati or Sandra, or I mean, just other players like Sari who are just they play sort of aggressive games and they're like praised by players. Like I understand where she's coming from, but what gets me about that is just, like it's so one-sided and kind of hypocritical that I mean, just leaves a sour taste in my mouth.
And I feel like the thing is, if she would have mentioned that, I learned from my mistakes because I remember one time I treated Cass pretty bad about. in Kaguyan. I
Right.
feel like now I learned from my lessons. I feel like we'll be okay with that. But she didn't say that, so she just kind of like one sided.
Yeah, and I mean, like I know some people like theorize that it was like for jury management or whatever, and I mean that may be the case, but I mean either way, it got Ben to basically become a simp and quit his game for her. But
Yeah, the thing about Sarah's unique because like she's very like you never see like have like she has the same expression. You never see she's kind of emotionless all the time. So you never when she says something like that, you kind of like well, who's Sarah? Why she says that? Who is she? So and also like I know like mention like last names. They might never mention like popular female players' last names, but they don't sound like they don't like go well with the tongue. Like you don't say like oh DS Twine or Shallow or Fields. It's just like it feels better to say like Mariano or Hatch or Cochran. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean also same thing with Jeff too. Like I mean he points out that like he says something like if you look back in all the seasons, like he would find that bias in him, and like I mean the thing is he's not wrong. I mean you could tell like he favors like physical men. Let's be honest, but it's just
true.
like at the same time, I mean it seems like he says that, but he isn't like real. He can't like I don't know. I feel like he's just saying that just to say that. Like he doesn't like own up to what he said in the future, what he said in the past. Like what I mean?
He called out a lot of like female players. I just watched some of the clips he had like old seasons. Like man, he really is biased towards some players.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially towards Rob and Cochran. Like those are the ones that he like favors like big time.
Yeah. All right, cool. So that's Winners at War. Here's where it gets fun. So we have 41, and here's the first thing in the first episode, in the first like 10 minutes. Come on in, guys.
Come on in, guys.
So I mean, everyone and their mother knows this, but basically, Jeff's iconic phrase. Jeff's iconic phrase was "Come on in, guys." Like when people come in for a challenge, and in the whole first episode, they had this whole thing where Jeff's like, I want to be inclusive, so should I get rid of the word guys because I want to be like it's just oh my god. Okay, so you want to express your thoughts?
So the background is I'll get some of the background check guy. So Jeff asked his tribe the first time at the Marooning is, hey, how would you feel about getting rid of the term guys to be more inclusive? Cause like guys can be more diverse and aka woke. And a lot of players, nobody agrees saying, hey, you should change it. It's not a big deal. So then at the immunity challenge, like literally an hour later, Ricard, one of the players in the season, he actually could say, we should change the word guys. I feel like it would make everybody more inclusive. And that's when Jeff got rid of the term guys. So, yeah.
I just hate this for two reasons, really. Okay, number one, like, obvious, like, guys is, I mean, depends on how you use it, but in most cases, guys, or at least in this situation, guys is a gender neutral term. So, like, I mean, just, like, what, like, I mean, like, really, like, when he says guys, he's referring to boys and girls. Like, I don't understand how he thinks that, like, guys is offensive to, like, anyone. Number two, it just comes off as disingenuous. Like he's just like literally of all things to change in like they had like 2 years because of COVID to like look back and like change stuff, and of all things to change, they changed like one of the phrases for no reason. Like no one was throwing a fit over him saying guys.
Exactly.
I mean it's just like really like it's just him being.
It felt so unnecessary.
Yeah, it was just him being out of touch with what people want. I mean like
I guess they want to see this. Hey, we want to help like the fans, like not fans. Like we need to be more diverse. We need we care about this diversity and wokeness because 2020 was a tough year with the whole like everything else going on in the summer of 2020, and that's when people we gotta be more inclusive. So we gotta get rid of the word guys.
Yeah, but like no one got their panties in the twist because Jeff said guys. Like that's another thing. And lastly, sorry, go on.
It's funny because I find ironic was I remember early on people were hating on Evie because they thought Evie was gonna be this new this woke person. She was very very woke, but she turned out to be a good player, and people thought she was gonna be one to say, hey, let's not say come on guys, and it was all people's with cards. So
yeah, I mean that's another thing. Like number 3 is just I'm not saying Ricard isn't at fault because he was the one who wanted to change it and for a lame reason too. I mean, like I understand like being inclusive, but it's just like at the same time, I do feel like I kind of do get the impression that he was kind of goaded by production for one to say like just someone just wanted to say something. Like
I have a theory. I told you this before. I'm gonna say it to the in the video. My theory is Jeff was livid at the fact that his say how you feel about come on guys. Nobody said anything. So you say, you know what? I'm gonna get him back. I'm gonna force a player to say we need to change it. So I guarantee you they didn't show it, but production probably told maybe Ricard, because Ricard's probably the most viewed as the most woke person. The cast. Hey, I want you to say you don't agree with the word. Because the reason why I get that because and like Rob has a podcast video on Ricard. Ricard mentioned that he's not offended by the word guys, but he felt like that he got rid of it because to be inclusive. That sounds kind of weird and off. So I feel like production kind of forced him to say that. I totally agree with that.
Right, so I mean, and it's funny because like all like I mean at the same time it is kind of petty because it's just one word, but at the same time like viewership went down from them because it's just insulting to see someone just pander like to like literally no one, like no one had a problem with him saying come on in guys, like really
like I say it kind of ruined the season if you think about it, because the season never recovered from that, because I mean people were still offended by the fact that they got rid of the word guys.
Right, and like literally all Jeff had to do was just say come on in. Like he didn't have to like make this whole spiel about trying to be inclusive. All he could have said was just come on in, and no one would have thrown a fit over it.
Yeah, people like, hey, why don't you say come on in guys somewhere? Jeff's like, I don't know, I just want to change it. That's all he had to say instead of saying, oh, how you feel about changing the word.
Like honestly.
So
alright, so next is the merge episode, or merge in quotes.
Cool.
So we have like the Black Alliance. Now I've talked about it before in the 41 videos, but I can start this time. So with the Black Alliance, it was Shan, Danny, Deshaun, and Liana wanting to come together at the merge. I'm calling it merge. I don't care. The merge merge episode to have like all Black Alliance. Now I feel like that I feel like it's more the response behind this alliance that like has me more than like the alliance for me. So like how I feel is that I don't really I don't really care so much that they're together, but like what I really didn't want, and thankfully my fears were it wasn't implemented, but my biggest thing was I didn't want them to just like mindlessly take each other like till the end just to spread a message. Like I wanted them to play their like if I didn't want I didn't want Deshaun and Danny to be terrible player, or like I didn't want them to realize Shane and Liana are doing better than them in the game and just be with them anyway because Black Alliance. Like I mean I understand where they're coming from because George Floyd was a whole thing in 2020, but I didn't want them to sacrifice their game just to spread a message, you know what I mean? However, the thing with this is like, thankfully Danny and Deshaun did, backstab Shan, so I mean, like, I didn't have to, so the whole like them like just doing it just for the culture, I mean that didn't really matter towards the end. But what gets me about this, I mean this is kind of like going on a tangent, it's just like how I feel like that like people on Twitter or whatever act like it's like such a powerful moment or whatever, and I'm like, is it really? I mean, like I understand that four bad people coming together wouldn't really happen in a lot of seasons because the cast wasn't that diverse to begin with. But just like, do people really want to see like an alliance like just coasting through the game like without like a caring strategy just to represent, like you know what I mean? Like I still wanted them to play the game and like take whomever out to advance the game. I didn't want them like just steamroll through just not caring like about strategy, but just to represent, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think here's my point about this topic was one thing about like Survivor's always been is, like you said, it's microcosms like society in general. Mm-hmm. And one of the big things made Survivor unique was like people from all walks of life are working together. Mm-hmm. Like it's not the same people, it's different people. Mm-hmm. Like let's do like Togechi's for example. The main big alliance was JT, Taj, Steven Fishback, and later Aaron. they're all four unique people. You got a guy from Alabama, a black woman in her late 30s, a geeky, nerdy guy from New York, and a hairstylist who never been outside from Wisconsin. And those four, that's what makes Survivor unique. Like, those four people from all different walks of life came together and went really far, and they actually finished Final Four. And I know, like, for example, another good, like, it's always been like black people always want to work together. That's how we are as people. Because like, if we look, because like we're always taught like, if we look the same, we should work with them because like we can both relate. I think that's what made, but it's not like that you intentionally like work together like just because you want to be like that.
Right.
For example, I think a good example of Seppi and Sean. I think the way they did in Marquesas was really good because like those two definitely worked together because not because they were black, was because Sean kind of related to Seppi because they were both Christian people. Like they wanted to talk about certain topics, and even not only they only work with themselves. They worked with Nalia, Pascal, and Kathy and late in the game. And even at the end, Marquesas, Sean even said that even though I like Vecepia, if she doesn't give me good answers in the final tribal council, I'm not going to vote for her. And that shows that Sean, even though Sean respects her as a player, she's not going to vote for Vecepia because she's black.
Right.
I feel like what happened in this instance was they wanted to work together just to represent. The problem is that just kind of breaks Survivor because now, like, and if this was successful, you would have had like a big problem because now players be like, you know what, let's just all the white people let's work together and let's vote everybody else, or all the Asian people work together and vote everybody else.
Right.
And that's just not what Survivor is about. Survivor is about like people from all walks of life working together and living on an island for like, well, it used to be 39 days, but now it's 26. And try to outwit, outlast. But if you have like the same people like working together, like the same people, same background, the same ethnic group working together like every single time, it gets stale.
Yeah.
So
I'll elaborate more on this with the next point, but actually we can just get the next point. So the next point was the tribal council where Leon was voted out. It kind of like it's kind of mixed in with the Black Alliance thing, but basically it was like Deshaun breaking down because he felt the burden of wanting to represent Danny and Liana, not so much Danny. I mean, he briefly talked about it, but it was more so Liana expressing how she feels about being a black woman or whatever. See, what gets me about this is, again, I understand after 2020, but at the same time, like Deshaun or anyone really should only have to represent themselves or their family, whoever. They shouldn't have to represent exactly like their race, I mean, like he shouldn't have to feel that burden. It's not really his fault, but it's just like yeah, and I mean, and just some of the stuff in the tribal council, in the Bitter Jurors video, I don't agree with everything he says, but
he says Thailand's favorite best season of all time.
I agree with that. I mean, just like in that video and the other one too, I just don't agree with some of it. But like, he does make some good points, and where like it is like the thing with this stuff like Black Alliance and all that is like it gives like an opportunity for people to use it as like a double standard. I mean, I understand why people, black people like come together because, like you said, many people like us black people want to come together in certain situations, but like it gives like the impression that there's like no double standards because again, like if black people came together based on their race, then it'll be a problem. But because black people are doing it, then it's powerful. I mean that's the thing. Like with stuff like this, like a double standard is just like not applied at all. And I mean that I don't know. I just kind of like. I don't really agree with that.
I think the worst part, but not like the whole. I feel like I respect Leon for like standing up because like speaking of Leon's like our age, like she's like a 20-year-old college student, and she's on an island with strangers. She's like telling Jeff and everybody how she feels about being like a black woman in America.
Right.
It's really supposed to be a powerful moment. It's supposed to be a moment where like people remember that. But the problem is one of the social justice, and that's going to turn half people off. And second, they bring it up every single episode, like from the merge to like. Leon's vote out. There was like a mention of like social justice every single episode.
Right.
And like I said, like you said, I feel really bad for Deshaun because like Deshaun, he really felt he had a burden. He had to represent this season. And I understand like you want to do that, but the problem is you can't play like that because instead of making strategical moves, you make emotional moves, and that ruins your game.
Right, and go ahead.
You go ahead.
I was gonna say another thing too is, I mean, this is just not just a problem with like Survivor. This problem I have like with this black community in general, to be honest. But like, I mean, I feel like that we, I'm trying. Like, I mean, I understand. Like, I want to get to a point where like we're not like always like victimizing ourselves. Like in the sense that, Liana and Danny to a lesser extent, we're talking about how much of a struggle it is. Like because like you're only seeing it as like a like. I mean, they talk about how like it's a constant struggle to be a black person, but like at the same time, like they're talking about this as Nasir is on the jury, like right there when he mentioned how he grew up like in a small village and he just learned English to survive. Like and like Danny has the privilege of like being in the NFL. Like Liana has the privilege of going to nice college. Like we shouldn't have to always victimize ourselves like based on our ethnicity.
Yeah, I think I think one thing that we should learn as human beings is that we all have different walks of life.
Exactly.
I feel just because like as people we have a hard time struggling, and a certain percent of us struggle doesn't mean that we're the only ones who struggle.
Right.
I feel like it's time. I feel like we should learn more, like educate, do more research on other people. Because you really find out how grateful a lot of us are by the way we live, especially learn from other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's feeling of society. I feel the problem with society right now is that I know it's talking about survival, but it's talking about society. Is that we have a hard time like understanding each other.
Right.
We have a hard time understanding each other, and until we learn about everybody's different views and accept that, we're all gonna be divided.
Right. I want to see how long. Ooh, it's only 36 minutes. I thought it would be like an hour. Anyway, so last we have the Drea and Marianne Tribal Council. Now I wanted to talk about this like weeks ago, but I kind of like lost track of time. But so I mean, it's kind of like actually is a nice segue from the whole Tribal Council where Leon went out. So once again, like
you want to do a background?
Oh yes, yeah. So basically, it was like a split Tribal Council in the merge where half of them went to like the own tribal council vote one out, and the other half went vote on to someone else. And ended up like so the first tribal council was Roxroy, and then the other tribal council was Tory. So Roxroy was voted out by a few people, which all of them were minorities, figuratively. So then like Drea, I mean like the other half of the tribe comes in. Drea comes in, and she's shocked that Roxroy is out. I mean it makes sense because like Roxroy was her ally, but then like. The tribal council starts, and all of a sudden, she has a problem with Chanel and Roxroy being on the jury, and despite the fact that she, she got Chanel out, she had a problem with two black people being on the jury. Now, I have a couple problems with like, and then she like goes on about this whole speech about it being like the conscious bias and all that, and then later on, Marianne joins in, and yeah, so here we are. So here's my issues with this. So. Number one, there's an elephant in the room where Drea and Marianne both were a part of the plan to get rid of Chanel. I mean, now you can argue that they didn't know that there are going to be black people, following her vote out. But at the same time, you could have prevented this in some way or another. So I mean, like, I mean, they participated in her being voted out. Secondly, there's only 2 black people on the jury anyway. So it's like I mean, if this is like farther down, there's like 5 black people who vote out in a row, and I understand that, but like it's just the beginning of the merge, really. And number 3, she was saying how like black people have a history of being like voted out early in the game, and she's not entirely wrong, but it's not early in the game. It's like halfway in the game. So what's the point here?
Yeah, I agree. Like I feel like Dre must have saw Island Diaz for she came on the island because that's the only season I can think of. Like. Also, all the minorities got voted out because I was in the merge. Sorry, my throat. Jamal got voted out, and then after that was Aaron and Missy. Now it's 3 straight black people get voted out. So I guess I don't know if Drea's seen that season. She's like, oh man, of course that happens to black people. Like you said, it's a big example. Like for example, I remember Australian Outback. I didn't mention it too much, but I remember in the merge like they also voted out Alicia. I was surprised why Alicia? Because I know Alicia's a strong player, but I didn't know like why her of all people. And then after that, they targeted Nick, but Nick won immunity, which led to Jerry's vote, and they voted Nick next tribal council. So I was like, I don't know if it was like some subconscious bias, but of course, 2 minorities we had, they get voted out in the early merge. But I can say like, it is weird. Like first of all, Drea was definitely right for playing on IO because she was gonna go home. Like there was no ins and buts about it. She was going home. She didn't like play her idol. But I feel like it was kind of a little bit unnecessary for her to say, "Oh man, of course, like no."
Yeah, and well, I mean, like, again, what gets me is like literally like Rockstar was voted out by all minorities. I mean, like,
Yeah, it was like
Really?
a subconscious like bias, like, oh, we're gonna vote all the black people. Like,
Right.
Nobody comes as far as like, oh, we're gonna vote all the black people. And
yeah, and
can we talk about? Sorry,
I was gonna say the Bear Juror made a really good point in his video in which he said that if you're going to have if you're going to have more diverse cast, then there's more likely of a chance for like black people to be voted out back to back. Like like you just can't have it both ways where you want more diversity, but you expect you don't expect people of the same race to be voted out back to back. Like it's just gonna happen.
the
Like
funny thing is, in 41 was the exact same thing. Like it was Shane got voted out. After that was Liana, and then Danny, and Deshaun, he was like the last black person left, but he made the finale.
But the thing is, like, I mean, this is what gets me. Like, they literally set themselves up for that because they went out of the way to
like,
have the lines, like,
exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Can we talk about? I think we should talk about another interesting topic during the Tribal Council was like Jonathan and a little bit of Tori. Tori didn't really do much. Like, she kind of stayed back from afterwards. But Jonathan, he was kind of like he wasn't like oh, I don't agree with the saying. He's kind of like. It was never about that, and like she's saying she's wrong,
right? Like
Drea and Marion, I don't say attacked him, but he said he called him out. But even though he was kind of right,
so, right? Like I mean, like it's just like he's. I'm happy. I'm glad that Jonathan, didn't. I mean, I'm glad he stuck up for himself and like just wanted to make clear that he was aiming for this person because of their strategic play. Like he didn't feel like there was like a bias at all, and
right. And he's right. He said, there was no bias. I mean, he knew that Dre was a big threat, and the thing was, Marianne agreed with the idea too, but it wasn't until they saw Rockstar got put out she kind of like rejected the idea. And you saw, Tori had a little thoughts about it too. She said that's not true. I don't agree with it, and she kind of stayed back from it. Lindsay kind of agreed with Dre and Marianne, which is pretty smart social, like the social aspect of the game. Because she didn't want to ruffle feathers, but I'm actually happy they show like Jonathan like being against the argument.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing I had. That's one positive 42's cast has over 41 because like with 41's cast, it was so clear that production wanted to pick a cast that like was very diverse, but like ethically they were diverse, but like socially or like. When it comes to like social views, it wasn't really diverse. Like literally, the entire cast was like very liberal. Let's be honest. So that's why there wasn't really like a back and forth discussion when it came to like SJW moments.
Right, because you saw in 41 like Xander and Heather like during the Young conversation, they both like, oh, I'm definitely an ally. I'm definitely an ally.
Like, yeah, exactly.
I agree. I'm happy they say that, but who knows if that's true or not?
Right.
Like they just saying this for
exactly. Like I mean, honestly, I'm happy that Jonathan stuck up for himself and admitted that like. For him, wasn't about that,
Yeah, it kind of ruined his game because after that, everybody kind of viewed him as like he's not a good social player,
right?
But I'm glad he actually stood up for himself,
right?
Yeah,
yeah. No, I mean that's the last of all the moments, but I mean like honestly, like the main thing that probably bothers me about at least like the last few moments is like I briefly mentioned this earlier, but it's just like the responses from like people like from like so. The overall responses to all these moments is probably what gets me the most. So, I mean, like, with all these moments, people either want to straight up say these were woke moments and they're automatic 0 out of 10, or they're going to say these moments are very powerful. So, let's do the second one first. So with the Drea and Marianne Tribal Council, like, you should have been on Twitter, because, like, people were so annoying. So, like, people were either like well Drea and Marianne are racist and like they either were like that and they were like, oh, Jonathan he's a goat or whatever, or they were like Jonathan is a white guy with dreads, so he shouldn't be talking. Like it's just
no sense.
That's what I'm saying. It literally makes no sense. Like honestly, and quite frankly, I don't like either side because on the one hand, like I mean, I'm granted I rolled my eyes when the whole Tribal Council happened, but it's not like 42 went from like a 8 out of 10 to a 4 out of 10 just from that. Like moments like this should like automatically kill a season. Like the overabundance of moments is what
41.
Like in 41 it brings it down. But like when it's just like one moment like this, it doesn't happen again for the rest of the season. That shouldn't like automatically kill a season.
What makes it unique was it makes it very weird and interesting was that after that whole like instance in Tribal Council, you never heard it again after the rest of the season. It's kind of like afterward they just like kind of got rid of it. They didn't mention it in the rest of the season. They mentioned in the after show. It's kind of like production realized, hey, we do want to address these moments. Problem is that we can't like keep showing it over and over again because we're gonna lose most half our audience. So we're just gonna like briefly talk about it. We're gonna like skim through. We're gonna like ignore it.
Right.
Which is alright because they did that in old seasons, but it feels weird because like, that's a huge moment in the season, and you don't just like let it go.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, just one side just feel like that. It just woke one time, and then it's like an automatic like. It goes from like an A to an F, like it just doesn't work like that, like
That's why I hate about like Twitter, because Twitter, like people like everybody can easily get Twitter. Twitter is free. That's the thing about Twitter. Twitter is free. Anybody can get Twitter. I can literally just get Twitter right now. It takes like 10 minutes, and I can easily tweet out something, and I'll be popular everywhere. Because like there's just certain people who shouldn't talk. There's some people in the world who they should just shut their mouth and don't talk because they make no sense.
Right, but so that's one extreme where like one moment like this happens and like it's really terrible, and then another extreme. I mean, I don't know which side bothers you more, but like I just know like there's more people in this extreme really, or at least more louder people, or like they just automatically say these moments are very powerful without really like backing themselves up. Like more often than not you'll see I mean this is a problem I just have with like just 2010s like liberal stuff anyway. Like I feel like that a lot of people they will just automatically say it's a powerful moment without like really like wanting to not really defend themselves, but like really like explain why. Like with George, like again we have like perspective because we're both black men, but like during the George Floyd stuff, many people white people say like they're allies, but like as soon as George Floyd stuff is over, like they just they don't really like say anything about like you gotta do more than just having like a black picture on your Instagram like or black tattoos. Like I mean like really.
I remember everybody blacked out.
Like I mean honestly, like you just like like either you say like just either say nothing or just be all in. Like don't just be disingenuous when it comes to like social issues like that. And like many people just want to say, oh, this moment's powerful. Like I mean like if you don't think that if it doesn't really resonate with you, then just don't say anything. Like what I mean.
That's the thing about a lot of people have, especially like focus on like social issues like social justice, that people they talk about Black Lives Matter and like all that stuff. But the problem is like months later nobody mentions it afterwards.
Right.
It's only when like stuff happens where people mention it, it's like a huge outcry, and that's when things change.
Exactly.
But like I said, like I mean, like I told you before, like if you go, you're gonna have like people have different views on stuff. But I want to hear like more like modern views. I'm tired of hearing like the left view and the right view on certain stuff. I want to hear like more middle independent views.
Yeah, I mean like. And I know like Survivor Spencer mentioned this in his videos, but like as much as I love like Rob C, like I mean I could just tell like with him like I hate to call him soft or anything, but it's just like I can tell that like I mean I kind of think of him and like when it comes to like just being just saying it's powerful just to say it's powerful. I mean I'm not saying that like he's he's totally disingenuous or anything. Not saying he doesn't want to be an ally or anything, but it's like I mean, I appreciate people like him listening, but at the same time, it's just like, if it's not going to like mean anything to you, then like, just I don't know, like you know what I mean.
I feel like he's doing that to not hurt Survivor because I think his podcast, Robert's podcast, become a very like influential like platform because it's one of the first like platforms like focused entirely on social media. Is when it was popular too.
Right.
And he doesn't want that to be shattered by saying a comment. And CBS finds out about it, and they're like, "Hey, we gotta get rid of everything."
Right.
And that's why I feel like that's why like he has these new like people from, like, who works with him, like kind of more left because like he don't want like, a certain thing to happen where like he gets quote unquote canceled and he loses everything he has.
Yeah, I don't want to single him out either. I mean, like there are other people who I mean, if I had time for everyone who said like I'm white, so I have no I shouldn't say anything about Dre and Marianne Trouble Counts. I mean, like if you feel like again, like if you feel a certain way about it, like I'm not saying like I mean I still like if you feel a certain way about something, then like just say it. Like don't be like I'm white, so I have no I can't say anything regarding this issue. Like
that's all because of cancel culture. That's why I hate about cancel culture. I feel like I understand there's certain aspects of cancel culture like that should definitely be like earned, like Harvey Weinstein incident. We touched like harass people and actresses in Hollywood. He deserved to get canceled, but you can't cancel little stuff because someone's offended. Right. And the worst part is since we have social media now, everybody feel like they're like social warriors, so they feel like, hey, he said something inappropriate, we're gonna cancel him for the rest of life.
It's just like the same people too who like do like I mean just like. I mean, it's just like people just make dumb arguments. Like, I mean, just whole like Jonathan shouldn't say anything because he's a white guy with dreadlocks. Like, what is your argument? Like, I just don't like I don't understand how poking fun of his physical appearance is like he has no reason to talk. Like, really,
you're literally victimizing him, like making call him out. Say he's a big tall guy. He's dumb.
Like, that's just dumb.
You're literally hypocritical. You're saying, oh, it's powerful these women to stand up, but you're calling out John, who's like a big guy. You're trying to his hardest to be nice and not try to ruffle feathers, which is really good for a big guy Survivor.
Right.
And he gets called. He makes one mistake. He's already considered a villain.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why that's what I hate about cancel culture. It's like you shouldn't like. And the worst part is people they attack you because of stuff you said in the past. Like we all did dumb stuff in the past, and we shouldn't be like canceled or get our lives ruined because somebody said like in 2008 or 2009.
Yeah, but we're getting a little sidetracked. So
yeah, I know we are.
But yeah, I already did a moment, so I'm just about to wrap this up. So I mean, to kind of conclude, or our conclusion here is that social justice moments, like them by themselves, shouldn't be such a problem. I mean, the problem is like I feel like the way to change this is for one, to have like an actual like open discussion. Like I mean, in case of 41 and to a much lesser extent because of Jonathan 42's moments, it always seems like one sided. Like I feel like that. I just think that I'm glad that they're having like ethnically diverse cast, but I do agree that there should be politically and social diversity as well, because it's much more compelling to me to have people on opposing sides have an actual discussion regarding like stuff like this. Like like when it seems like so one-sided and people just either saying it's a 0 out of 10 or people saying it's just powerful, just say it just for the sake of saying it's powerful, it just comes off as very disingenuous.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I feel that's what makes it very unique. Because I used to have that. I used to have like not diverse like in people what it looked like. It was like personalities. Like you always had like the U-Haul, the redneck guy on the show. You had the black guy. You had the
right.
the firefighter. You had the police officer. You had the some 20-year-old chick from California. You have a recruit from like New York, a bartender.
Right.
That's what made the show unique. It shows like it brought everybody from walks of life. I know like there's been seasons where like it wasn't like good in the cast and personalities, and that's been like considered bad seasons. But that's what made Survivor great. And now I feel like in 41 and a little bit, and they kind of fixed it in 42, like 41 especially. They want to like address certain issues and go on society, so they made it very well cast. They did a really good job in 42. That's probably why 42 is one of the greatest casts in Survivor history, because they made everybody brought back like the different personalities. Like they had the African girl from Canada, the Muslim guy from Canada, the big broad guy from Alabama. You had Lindsay from New Jersey, the tough New Jersey girl. You had Drea, a girl from I think she's from Canada or Texas, and she's a feminist. High as a feminist. So I'm glad we have that more in 42, but I'm scared that we're not gonna have that every season.
Right. Yeah. But to close it out, I mean, it's just I just want diversity, like in like different ways other than just race. And I mean, I feel like they're already slightly getting better with that. In case of 42, maybe 43. But it's just yeah.
I just want to say the last thing, like no matter what we say, especially like production, if anyone who ever like does like videos like cartoons stuff like that, if you do like a social, you won't bring a social like, a political moment on your like content, just know this: you will always lose half your audience. Unfortunately, even though that's kind of messed up, it's the truth. You will always lose half your audience, and half people won't agree with your certain stuff, and that can really affect your ratings and your television, everything you have, everything you created. So I find all my big advice is make your political stuff private. Don't have to address everything like political. Don't do that. Don't be like Survivor where they decide let's make it political and like make it dress more to be like woke. You can always like make it private. That's all I have.
Right. I mean, it's not so much of just having those moments. It's just having them so on the nose or so forced and so disingenuous that I mean, like if a cartoon was gonna have a conflict about like race or something, then just make a conflict about race. Don't make it like so like one sided. You know what I mean? Like, just that's all I ask for really. But, yeah. So, I have nothing else to add to the table here. So, can you have anything else to say?
No.
Cool. Well, that was 54 minutes. Sweet. I actually thought this would be like hour and a half or something. Good, because I didn't want it to be too long. All right, sweet. So yeah, that was SJW stuff on Survivor. This actually was a bit fun and a bit I do like talking about stuff like this, to be honest. I try to be try to articulate as best as I can, but even if it's stuff that people disagree with, but yeah, I'm glad about how this is turning out. So yeah, I'm Ev here to entertain. Can you want to say goodbye or?
All right, take care, everyone. It's me, see you all again. Hear y'all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I messed that up.
Yeah, you did.
I know. I'll practice next time.
Practice saying goodbye. I mean, okay. Yeah, I'm Ev here to entertain. I'm not sure what my next video will be. Probably gonna be another Dan Schneider video, but we'll see. I don't really know yet. But yeah, it was Ev here to entertain, and hope you all have a good night. I actually want to follow up on that last part. So I'm not sure exactly what my next video is going to be because I have 3 options here. 2 of them are Dan Schneider options. One is something that's a completely different beast altogether. So either I was going to do every episode of iCarly season 4 reviewed, which I have done the script. I just need to record the voiceover and do all the slides for it. Or I could do every episode. I could start going with, the chronology. Is that a word? Whatever. Go chronological order of the Schneider shows and do Victoria season 1 because that came after iCarly season 3. And I thought about doing Victoria's not just because I wanted I wanted to do it because the 2010s Schneider stuff is like kind of consistent in quality, so it would just be weird to go from iCarly season 4 to 5, then Victoria season 1, which, spoiler alert, season 5 by iCarly, and then Victoria season 1 is like a massive gap in quality. But so my next video is probably going to be iCarly season 4, probably because it'll be a lot quicker. But I don't know. I have thought about doing a chronological order and just going with Victoria season 1. But I do have the script. I think I've even recorded the voice over for Victoria season 1. I still gotta do slides for both of them, but either way, yeah. So my next video, my next video will either be one of those 2, or it will be. So for the longest time, so there's a show called This Is Us, and it just ended last Tuesday. And I've been dying to review the entire show for the longest time. Ever since the end of season 4, I've been wanting to review that show and do a proper analysis of it. I really thought about doing this whole hour or 2 hour long review of it. In all honesty, because I've been that show. I watched it from the very beginning of it was end of 2016 when it started, and it's middle of 2022 of it ending. I really want to do analysis of that show in all honesty because I have a lot to say about it. So I do plan to rewatch the entire series and just go for the whole review of that show. Now, granted, if I do that, the next video won't be out till months later, but my uploads take forever to come in anyway, so it's all good. So yeah, so just look out for my next video. It either may come much later down the line, or it may come relatively soon. So yeah, so I'm Ev here to entertain and keep hope alive. I don't know.